My haughty mom demanded that I give up my home because my younger sister, being pregnant, needed it more than I did. My partner and I were both in our 30s, living peacefully in the house I inherited from my father. My sister-in-law had been incredibly supportive over the years. But when it came to my birth family, especially my mom and sister, support had always been one-sided. I was never my mother's favorite. That title belonged to my sister. As far back as I can remember, my dad was the steady hand in the family. He was calm, financially disciplined, and deeply practical. But things fell apart when I was a teenager. My parents divorced after Mom had an affair with her old high school boyfriend, an older man who had been hanging around far too much. From that point on, Mom became even more manipulative, and my sister followed right in her footsteps. She was like a carbon copy of our mom, entitled, controlling. She'd snap her fingers and expect everyone to jump. And I'll admit it, growing up, I did. It was humiliating, and the worst part was that she never saw anything wrong with it. Neither did my mom. Eventually, I had enough. After the divorce, I chose to move in with my dad full-time. My sister stayed with Mom, and that just deepened their bond, and the resentment between us. My relationship with my mother faded. Same with my sister. I rarely spoke to them, unless it was absolutely necessary. When it came to money, I was more like my dad. He'd built his life around business, and when I turned 16, he began teaching me everything he knew. I started working with him right away, learning the ropes and gaining real experience. Over the years, I became skilled in the field. After 12 years of dedication, he made me a partner in his company. Life was stable. Things were looking up. Then, 8 months ago, everything changed. My dad got sick. A lifetime of smoking had weakened his immune system. When COVID hit, he didn't stand a chance. He passed away at just 60 years old. It was a painful time. The funeral was remote, just a video call with a small gathering at a cemetery nearby. There was no body, no casket. His father handled the cremation. That's when I saw my mom and sister again for the first time in years. My mother looked like she was grieving. My sister, on the other hand, seemed completely detached. Not even a flicker of emotion. But honestly, I wasn't surprised. The last time she saw our dad, she'd screamed at him, accusing him of owing her more. She even threatened to sue him, but he had done everything legally required. He paid alimony, child support, and even gave her an extra $30,000 for college. After the divorce, he had no further obligation, but he still helped. And still, it wasn't enough for her. After the funeral, the will was read. Dad had always known how things might play out. In a pre-recorded video, he even joked about how his chain smoking might catch up to him, but he had prepared everything. He left his entire estate to me. His business, his house, the majority of his savings. My sister got his old 2015 Nissan Altima and around $10,000. My mom received only $1,000 and a few items she'd legally claimed during the divorce. Nothing more. And that was that. I moved into the house with my fiancé, settling into the home my father had worked so hard to build. My sister had a very different path. She finished 2 years at community college and spent the next few years living alone, working part-time online. At one point, she got pregnant, but sadly suffered a miscarriage. I only found out at Dad's funeral. We hadn't spoken in ages, and no one else had bothered to tell me. Her boyfriend lost his job during the pandemic, and things started spiraling for them. He eventually picked up part-time work, but it wasn't enough. He urged her to find a better job, but instead, she got pregnant again. This one she called her miracle baby. And that's when everything exploded. One night, I got a knock on my door. When I answered, there stood my mother and sister, uninvited, unannounced, and unbothered. They walked right in without asking. My fiancé and I just stood there in disbelief. My sister started walking around, peeking into rooms and giggling like it was a tour. My mother made herself comfortable on the couch, clenching her fists and barking for a bottle of cold water. I finally asked what they were doing there. My sister ignored me, acting like I didn't exist. My mother glanced around the room and said, "I think it's time you did your brotherly duty." I blinked. "Excuse me?" she continued. "Your father should have left this house to me. I was his wife." "Ex-wife," I corrected. "But you still have a chance to make this right," she said. "You're doing well. You can afford to buy yourself another house. Your sister's pregnant. She needs this one more than you do. So, you can either give it to her or move into one room and pay all the bills until you decide to leave." I looked at my fiancé. We'd read enough Reddit posts to know exactly where this was going. I took a deep breath and said calmly, That's not going to happen. My mother's face darkened. She stood up, pointing a finger at me, her voice rising. I brought you into this world. I am still in charge here. When I say jump, you ask how high. I shook my head. Not anymore. She clenched her jaw. Your sister and I will be living here. This is your official eviction notice. But because I'm generous, you have 2 weeks to move out. Something inside me snapped. I grabbed my phone. She shouted, "What are you doing?" "I'm calling the police," I said. "You need to leave my house, now." She lunged for me and smacked my phone out of my hand. Then she tried to stomp on it. I managed to grab it before she could. "That's it," I said. "If you don't walk out right now, I will physically remove you myself." My mother slapped me across the face. I didn't hesitate. I backhanded her so hard she fell back onto the couch. She looked stunned, her face flushed and smeared with makeup. "How dare you!" she screamed. I picked up my phone again. "Leave, or I'm calling the police." Just as I was dialing, my sister ran in, arms outstretched between us like she was breaking up a brawl. "Please," she cried, "can't you just do the right thing for once? Be a good big brother." I stared at her, dumbfounded. "Really?" I snapped. "I'm the bad sibling. Who do you think worked since he was 16 to help pay the bills while you sat around playing video games and talking to your friends? Who picked up the chores, cleaned the house, and went without so you could have your shopping sprees after blowing through your allowance?" She froze, tears brimming in her eyes. "You stole from me," I continued. "You used me. You've always used me. And now you think you're entitled to my house because you're pregnant? I don't owe you anything." My sister broke down sobbing. "Mommy, please make him stop," she wailed like a child. My mother rushed to her, wrapped her arms around her, and kissed her cheeks while throwing me the most venomous glare I've ever seen. Then, without missing a beat, she turned to me and said, "If you call the police, I'll just tell them you hit me, and maybe that you tried to hurt a poor pregnant woman." I didn't flinch. I simply held up my hand. "You might want to stop talking," I said. "My girlfriend's been recording everything since the moment you walked in. That includes your assault and your threat to lie to the police." For a moment, it looked like my mother was going to explode. If looks could kill, I'd have been blown to pieces. But instead her face dropped. The fight left her shoulders. She turned and began dragging my crying sister toward the door. But of course, my sister wasn't done yet. She wriggled free of my mom's grip and collapsed dramatically on my porch step, sobbing louder. "You promised me!" she shrieked. "You said it was mine!" I just looked at my mom. "Do you see now? This is what happens when you raise someone to believe the world owes them everything." She scowled, but didn't say a word. Then I had the joy of watching her try to physically lift my sister off the porch. My sister clung to the railing like a toddler, refusing to leave the playground, whining that I had promised her the house. I laughed out loud. It was just too ridiculous not to. Eventually, after more coaxing and a lot of groaning, my mom convinced her to get up and walk to the car. As she opened the door, she turned to me one last time. "You're cruel, heartless. You'll go to hell for this." I crossed my arms. "Maybe. But there's a special spot down there for liars and manipulators who twist the truth to get their way." Her hands clenched. She was about to say something else, but I raised my phone again, still recording. "The clock's ticking, Mom. Get off my property." And just like that, she finally left. I thought that would be the end of it, but of course, that's not how my mother operates. A few days later, my phone began lighting up with messages. Some were from old family friends, others from distant relatives or acquaintances I hadn't spoken to in years. Some were angry, calling me selfish and heartless. Others were confused and just wanted to know what had happened. I tried checking Facebook to see what they were talking about, but I'd been blocked by both my mom and sister. My girlfriend, however, could still see their public posts, and what she found was enough to make my blood boil. They had posted a whole story, a complete fabrication. According to them, I had stolen the house from my sister, who was meant to inherit it. They painted me as a greedy, spiteful man who tricked our father's lawyer into cheating my sister out of her rightful inheritance. My mom even hinted that I was abusive, claiming she had feared for her safety. It was disgusting, and worse, people believed it. My girlfriend and I spent the evening screenshotting everything, every post, every comment, every lie. We printed them out and added them to the folder with the video footage from that night. The next morning, I called my dad's lawyer, the same one who had handled the will. He was a family friend and someone my father trusted deeply. When I showed him the folder of evidence, his face tightened. "They're trying to smear you," he said, "but we can shut this down. Do you want to send a formal cease and desist?" I nodded. "Yes, and make sure it's sent express, requiring a signature. I want proof they received it." Within 2 days, the letters were delivered. That same evening, I got a call from my mother. Her voice was cold, measured. "What is this?" she hissed. "It's a warning," I said. "Take everything down. All of it. And post a full retraction, or I'll forward everything to your employer, your tenants, your entire social circle. The video, the screenshots, all of it," she scoffed. "You're bluffing." I didn't respond. "You wouldn't do that to your own mother," she snapped. "You already did it to your own son," I said quietly. There was silence on the other end. Then a low, bitter, "Fine, you win. Keep the stupid house." She hung up. That night, all the false posts vanished. My girlfriend checked at their profiles. Everything was wiped clean. Later, I received a short message from my mother, a half-hearted apology. She claimed she overreacted and had just wanted to help my sister. She admitted the house legally belonged to me, but it was wrapped in so much passive-aggressive blame that it was barely an apology at all. Then came a message from my sister. She echoed Mom's words almost word for word, claimed she had acted out because of her pregnancy hormones and had only listened to our mother. I didn't answer either of them. I wasn't interested in hearing excuses. I was interested in peace. And I finally had some. After that final message from my sister, I didn't expect to hear from them again. And for a little while, things went quiet. But silence doesn't always mean peace, especially not with people like my mother. It didn't take long before the fallout started trickling in. People who had believed her lies started pulling away. Some even sent quiet apologies my way, just a simple, "I didn't know," or "Sorry I jumped to conclusions." I saw others never said a word, but quietly removed their supportive comments from her posts or unfollowed her altogether. But the damage had already been done. Not to me, I'd moved on, but to her reputation. My mom's Airbnb business started suffering. A few bad reviews showed up. One mentioned her attitude, another said there was an uncomfortable vibe, and one brutal comment even said it felt like they were being watched the entire time. Whether true or not, it painted a picture, and people started avoiding her listings. Meanwhile, my sister's boyfriend, who had moved in with my mom to save money, finally had enough. From what we gathered through mutual acquaintances and a few very public posts, he moved out. Quietly. No big scene, just packed up and left. And my sister? She melted down. Her once upbeat, curated social media presence turned into a stream of vague, emotional posts. Some people just want to see you suffer. Family should be there when you need them. It's hard being alone. It was clear she thought she could still milk sympathy, but this time, the responses weren't what she hoped for. Instead of encouragement or comfort, people started pushing back. One comment said, "Didn't your brother give you a place to stay and you tried to steal it?" Another said, "Maybe stop blaming everyone else." That's when it hit me. The truth doesn't always come out right away, but when it does, it's powerful. I didn't have to defend myself anymore. I just let their own words unravel them. Still, what stayed with me the most wasn't the drama. It was the realization of how quickly people can turn on you, how easily lies spread when they come from a place of emotion and entitlement, and how important it is to set boundaries, even when it hurts. One afternoon, I sat on the porch, peaceful now, just me and my fiancée inside the house we were building our life in. I thought about my father, about how proud he would have been, not just of the house or the business, but of the fact that I stood my ground. He used to say, "The hardest battles are the ones no one sees, but they're also the ones that shape you." I finally understood what he meant. A few days later, my mother called again. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. Her voice was subdued, almost tired. "I just want to know," she said, "what it would take for things to go back to the way they were." I paused for a moment, then said, "Mom, when have things ever really been good between us?" Silence. "You don't get to do what you did and then ask for a reset like it's a video game," I said softly. "You didn't just cross a line, you burned the bridge." Her voice cracked, barely above a whisper. "I didn't mean to." "But you did," I said. "And you meant it at the time." She sniffled, and for a second I thought she might apologize, really apologize. But instead she said, "You don't know how hard it is for me." I almost laughed. "And you don't know how hard it's been for me for years, and you never cared to ask." We ended the call there. No yelling, no drama, just quiet finality. I haven't heard from her since. My sister still posts from time to time. Her online presence is all over the place. Cryptic posts, emotional quotes, and the occasional passive-aggressive swipe at those who should have been there. But most people don't interact with her anymore. She's burned too many bridges, and people are tired of the act. As for me, I'm at peace. The house my father left me is still mine. It's not just bricks and walls. It's history. It's safety. It's proof that I didn't fold when everything was stacked against me. My fiancé and I built something real here. We grew our life together. One built on love, honesty, and mutual respect. Not manipulation, not guilt, and not obligation. That's what family should be. It's a hard truth to face, especially for those of us raised to believe we must always keep the peace. That family comes first, no matter what. But sometimes, the healthiest thing you can do is choose distance over drama, peace over pressure. If you're listening and you've had to cut ties with someone who was supposed to love you, know this: you're not alone. You're not cruel. You're not broken. You're healing. And healing takes strength. You don't have to apologize for choosing yourself, for protecting your space, for drawing the line and saying, this far and no further, because that's not selfish. That's survival. As we grow older, many of us realize that family, while rooted in blood, is not always grounded in love, respect, or fairness. This story is a powerful reminder that sometimes the hardest people to stand up to are the ones who share our last name. When a parent chooses favorites, when entitlement is rewarded, and when boundaries are ignored, it's the quiet, responsible ones who carry the weight. The son in this story didn't fight to be selfish. He fought to protect what was his, and to honor the legacy his father left behind. In doing so, he reminded us all that choosing peace over guilt is not cruelty, it's strength. For many in our generation, we were raised to endure, to stay silent for the sake of family harmony. But as this story shows, true harmony only comes when respect goes both ways. If you've ever had to walk away from someone you loved just to protect your own peace, know that your experience matters. You are not alone. Please share your thoughts in the comments, give this video a like if it resonated with you, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that speak to the heart.